International Symposium berarti kan apa Mbak? Kayak seminar ya. Bahasa Inggris mana seminar?
Udah mulai ya.
Ya.
Terus mulai jom.
Halo.
Mangkrang sang wayah Suaranya belum jelas.
The honorable ladies and gentlemen, to all registered participants, we cordially invite you to be seated. Because in a few minutes, the ceremony is about to begin. To the respective online participant, we humbly ask to turn off your microphone to avoid any technical related issue. Thank you. We will begin shortly. If you please have your attention to the big screen. This is a preview of Indonesian Agency for Agriculture Extension and Human Resources Development and Polytechnic Agriculture Development, Yogyakarta, Magelang. Please enjoy.
Pembangunan SDM menjadi kunci Indonesia kita ke depan.
Dalam rapat terbatas, akselerasi penguatan ekonomi sektor pertanian dan perikanan, Presiden Republik Indonesia menegaskan pemerintah akan memperkuat ekonomi sektor pertanian. Kementerian Pertanian diharapkan melakukan perubahan dari on-farm menuju off-farm dengan memberikan nilai tambah melalui pengolahan produk pertanian. Pemerintah juga akan menyalurkan kredit usaha rakyat atau KUR untuk petani dengan pendampingan pengelolaan keuangan, kemasan hingga pemasaran. Langkah selanjutnya, pembentukan korporasi pertanian untuk mendorong pelaku UMKM sektor pertanian agar berkolaborasi membentuk kelompok-kelompok atau bersama korporasi besar. Semangat pemerintah disambut optimisme Menteri Pertanian Syahrul Yassin Limpo.
Betul-betul pertanian kita bisa lebih maju dari yang kemarin, lebih mandiri dan dikelola lebih modern.
Untuk itu, Badan Penyuluhan dan Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Pertanian atau BPP SDMP hadir.
Badan Penyuluhan dan Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Pertanian hadir untuk mewujudkan sumber daya manusia pertanian yang profesional, mandiri, berdaya saing, dan berjiwa wirausaha.
Selanjutnya, dalam mewujudkan sasaran utama tersebut, BPP-SDMP melakukan sejumlah strategi, di antaranya memantapkan penyuluhan pertanian terpadu dan modern berbasis kostra tani. Dalam hal ini, fokus penyuluh yang melek informasi teknologi, petani berjejaring, petani dengan pemasaran berbasis online, petani yang mampu menggunakan otomatisasi alsintan, petani canggih ramah lingkungan, petani dengan packaging, petani yang menguasai teknologi dari on hingga off farm, serta penyuluhan online terpadu dalam gerakan kostra tani. Memantapkan pelatihan vokasi pertanian berbasis kompetensi dan daya saing mendukung penumbuhan pengusaha pertanian milenial hingga menghasilkan regenerasi petani milenial, tercipta job creator milenial dan qualified job seeker. Memantapkan pendidikan vokasi pertanian yang mendukung penumbuhan pengusaha pertanian milenial hingga menciptakan sumber daya manusia pertanian yang standar sertifikasi nasional. Memantapkan reformasi birokrasi guna menciptakan aparatur sipil negara yang bersih, bebas korupsi, dan berorientasi pelayanan prima. Untuk mewujudkan sasaran utama, BPP-SDMP memiliki struktur kerja, di antaranya Pusat Penyuluhan Pertanian atau Pusluhtan, Pusat Pelatihan Pertanian atau Puslatan, dan Pusat Pendidikan Pertanian atau Pusdiktan. Saat ini, BPP-SDMP memiliki 3 program aksi, yakni Gerakan Komando Strategis Pembangunan Pertanian di Kecamatan atau Kostra Tani, penyuluhan, pelatihan, dan pendidikan vokasi mendukung penumbuhan pengusaha pertanian milenial, penyuluhan, pelatihan, dan pendidikan mendukung program utama Kementerian Pertanian. Untuk mendukung Puslutan, Puslatan, dan Pusdiktan, pada tahun 2024, 5.646 unit kostra tani akan tersebar di seluruh provinsi di Indonesia. Selain itu, 10 balai pelatihan pusat yang terdiri dari PPMKP Ciawi, BBPP Lembang, BBPKH Cinagara, BBPP Ketindan, BBPP Batu, BBPP Binuang, BBPP Batang Kaluku, BBPP Kupang, Bapeltan Jambi, dan Bapeltan Lampung, serta 18 balai pelatihan daerah telah tersebar di sejumlah pemerintah daerah. BPP-SDMP juga memiliki 10 UPT pendidikan pertanian di sejumlah provinsi, yakni Polbangtan Medan, Polbangtan Bogor, Polbangtan Yogyakarta Magelang, Polbangtan Malang, Polbangtan Goa, Polbangtan Manokwari, SMK PP Sembawa, PP Banjarbaru, SMK PP Kupang, dan PP. Bahkan ada 93 SMK PP binaan BPP-SDMP di 29 provinsi. Hingga saat ini, BPP-SDMP telah mencetak sejumlah penyuluh teladan dan petani pengusaha milenial serta petani komoditas.
Saya mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada BPP-SDMP yang telah memfasilitasi saya selama saya kuliah 4 tahun. Saya diberikan beasiswa dan ketika saya lulus saya diberikan permodalan melalui program penumbuhan wirausaha muda pertanian.
Terima kasih kepada BPP-SDMP Kementerian Pertanian yang sudah memberikan dukungan dan fasilitas pendidikan kepada kami, mahasiswa Polbangtan, sehingga kami dapat belajar menjadi generasi muda pertanian penerus bangsa yang kompeten dan berdaya saing.
Untuk mendukung kegiatan penyuluhan pertanian, kami juga tak lepas mendapatkan dukungan dari BPP-SDMP Kementerian Pertanian dalam hal biaya operasional agar kami bisa bergerak cepat di lapangan maupun di tempat kami melakukan penyuluhan.
Kami, petani milenial, siap mendukung pertanian yang maju, mandiri, dan modern.
Kami, mahasiswa Polbangtan, siap mendukung pertanian yang maju, mandiri, dan modern.
Kami pertanian siap untuk mendukung pertanian yang maju, mandiri, dan modern.
Politeknik Pembangunan Pertanian Yogyakarta Magelang, Polbangtan Yoma, adalah perguruan tinggi kedinasan di bawah Kementerian Pertanian yang dilaksanakan oleh Badan Penyuluhan dan Pengembangan SDM Pertanian atau Badan PPSDMP. Visi Polbangtan adalah menjadi politeknik pembangunan pertanian yang unggul dalam menyiapkan sumber daya pertanian yang profesional, mandiri, dan berdaya saing untuk mewujudkan kedaulatan pangan dan kesejahteraan petani. Terdapat 2 jurusan, yakni jurusan pertanian dan peternakan. Jurusan pertanian terdiri dari 3 program studi, yaitu program studi penyuluhan pertanian berkelanjutan, program studi agribisnis hortikultura, dan program studi teknologi benih. Jurusan peternakan terdiri dari 3 program studi, yaitu program studi penyuluhan peternakan dan kesejahteraan hewan, program studi teknologi produksi ternak, dan program studi teknologi pakan ternak. Polbangtan merupakan sekolah berbasis beasiswa. Ada beberapa jalur penerimaan mahasiswa baru, yaitu jalur tugas belajar, jalur undangan, jalur kerjasama, jalur umum, jalur POSKM atau prestasi di bidang olahraga, seni, dan keilmuan. Seperti perguruan tinggi lainnya, Polbangtan berkewajiban menjalankan tridharma perguruan tinggi, yakni pengajaran, penelitian, dan pengabdian. Untuk menunjang hal tersebut, Polbangtan menyediakan fasilitas-fasilitas seperti perpustakaan, laboratorium teknologi benih, laboratorium perlindungan tanaman, laboratorium dasar, laboratorium produksi hasil ternak, peralatan tani modern, laboratorium produksi pakan ternak, dan laboratorium reproduksi ternak.
Politeknik Pembangunan Pertanian Yogyakarta Magelang merupakan perguruan tinggi vokasi di lingkup Kementerian Pertanian yang bertujuan mencetak job creator dan job seeker sektor pertanian. Dengan kampus pertanian di Yogyakarta dan peternakan di Magelang, Polbangtan Yoma menerapkan metode pembelajaran berbasis teaching factory bekerja sama dengan dunia usaha, dunia industri, dan dunia kerja. Dengan sarana prasarana yang memadai, sumber daya manusia yang siap bekerja optimal, serta didukung teknologi terapan dan modern, kami berkomitmen untuk memberikan pelayanan prima bagi stakeholder internal, yaitu mahasiswa, dan stakeholder eksternal, petani, masyarakat, kelompok-kelompok tani, pemerintah daerah, serta lembaga kemasyarakatan untuk membangun pertanian dan menumbuh kembangkan pengusaha pertanian milenial.
Salah satu keunggulan Polbangtan adalah memiliki unit penunjang akademik yang disebut dengan Teaching Factory atau yang lebih dikenal dengan TEVA. Dengan kebun seluas 33 hektar yang dikelola bersama dengan 20 perusahaan dan lembaga mitra, TEVA menjadi model pembelajaran bagi mahasiswa berupa praktik di dunia kerja. Membantu mahasiswa mampu berwirausaha dan menghasilkan produk sesuai dengan kebutuhan pasar.
Thank you for your attention.
Now, before we begin today's opening ceremony, there will be an art performance of Mangastuti dance, performed by the student of Polytechnic of Agriculture Development, Yogyakarta, Magelang. The Mangastuti dance is a form of thanksgiving that led to the success of one's event. And it is a series of prayers, strings of hope. Mangastuti dance describes behavior full of harmony and compassion with the life in the world. The dance is identical with the plea of salvation that is offered to God Almighty. The dancers express it in shared joy of happiness, longevity, and in endeavor and glory. Let's welcome the student of Polytechnic Agriculture Development, Yogyakarta, Magelang. To the student of Polytechnic Agriculture Development, Yogyakarta, Magelang, please take the stage.
Please give a round of applause. Moving to our main event, the opening ceremony to today's seminar. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In the best wishes to all of us, first, we give thanks to God Almighty because of His blessings and graces we can gather in this place in event International Symposium Southeast Asia Vegetables SEAVEG 2021. I say welcome the Honorable Dr. Syahrul Yassin Limpo, a Minister of Agriculture, Indonesia. The Honorable Dr. Premnath, a Chairman of SEAVEG and a Chairperson of Vegetables Science International Network, VegiNet from India. The Honorable Professor Dedi Nursyamsi, Director General of Indonesian Agency for Agriculture Extension and Human Resources Development. The Honorable Dr. Siti Munifah, Executive Secretary of Indonesian Agency for Agriculture Extension and Human Resources Development. The Honorable Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti, Director of Indonesian Agency for Agriculture Education. The Honorable Dr. Bambang Sudarmanto, Director of Polytechnic of Agriculture Development, Yogyakarta, Magelang. And to all respective participants, we say welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Helmi Abdurraqib.
And I'm Rafika Fashadina Azmi.
We will be your master of ceremony today. It is our pleasure this morning to welcome you to today's seminar, International Symposium, Southeast Asia Vegetable, SEAVEG 2021. Allow me to read to you our agenda for today's opening ceremony. First on our agenda is the singing of Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. To all participants, we humbly ask for you to stand for the singing of Indonesia national anthem. Please take a stand. Thank you. Thank you. You may please be seated.
To start today's opening ceremony, a few words from the committee that will be presented by Dr. Bambang Sudarmanto. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Bambang Sudarmanto, Director of Polytechnic of Agriculture Development, Yogyakarta, Magelang. To Dr. Bambang Sudarmanto, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency, Minister of Agriculture of the Republik Indonesia, Dr. Syahrul Yassin Limpo, SH, MSc, MH, the Honorable Amabuan Profesor Dr. Insinyur Dedi Nur Samsi, MAGR, Director General of Indonesia Agency for Agricultural Extension and Human Resources Development. Honorable Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti, SPMP, Head of Agriculture Education Center. Thank you for coming, Bapak Heri Santoso, Vice Regent of Gunung Kidul Regency, and who are joined online. Honorable Dr. Prem Nats from Agriculture Science Foundation, India. Honorable Dr. Marco Woperis from the World Vegetable Center, Taiwan. Honorable Professor Michael Henry Bohm from Hamburg University of Berlin, Germany. Honorable Professor Stefan de Neve from Jena University, Belgium. Honorable Dr. Anupam Verma from IARI, New Delhi, India. Honorable Dr. PM Jingapa from National Professor of ICAR, New Delhi. Honorable Dr. Joy Silva Dias from Technical University of Lisbon, Portugal. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful, may peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you. On behalf of the organizing community, I would like to welcome all of you to Yogyakarta Special Region, Indonesia, for the International Symposium 2021 of Southeast Asia Vegetable from 18 November to 20 November 2021 in Royal Ambarukmo Hotel, Yogyakarta. The SEAVEG is biennial international conference carried out by Southeast Asia Vegetable, SEAVEG, and Vegetable Science International Network. And in this occasion organized by the Indonesian Agency for Agricultural Extension and Human Resources Development as the host of the conference in Indonesia. Under the theme of the conference, Vegetable for Resilience and Heart Diets, the conference features a rich program, including new technologies and approaches on vegetable for resilience and a healthy diet. SEAVEG 2021 offered a special opportunity to bring together professors, researchers, regulators, industries, and scholars around the globe, and serve as a platform to deliver innovative research results and latest trends and development in the fields of vegetable development. The idea has been to connect all vegetable stakeholders. In research, production, and distribution, not only in the region but beyond. The Symposium will provide a discussion forum and is open for lecturers, researchers, students, and other stakeholders who are interested in gaining and sharing knowledge and present their ideas and experiences in this scientific event. Ladies and gentlemen, all accepted and presented papers in this conference will have the opportunities to publish in proceedings submitted for publication to international publisher and proposed for indexation by Web of Science. The conference has received 103 submitted papers, whereby 88 papers have been accepted by the communities for presentation and have the opportunity to include it in the proceeding. This paper on various topics and divided into 18 parallel sessions in the conference. To all members of the organizing committees, the International Scientific Committee, the viewer, and the collaboration partners, we would like to thank all of them for
Excuse me, I repeat it. From Dr. Siti Munifa. The time is yours. From Dr. Siti Munifa, the time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of us. The Honorable Dr. Prem Nath from Agricultural Science Foundation, India. The Honorable Dr. Marco Wopres from the World Vegetable Center, Taiwan. Professor Michael Henry Bohm from Humboldt University of Berlin, Germany. Professor Stephen de Neef from Ghent University, Belgium. Dr. Anupam Pharma from IARI, New Delhi, India. Dr. P.G. Chengapa from National Professor of ICAR, New Delhi. Dr. João Silva Dias from Technical University of Lisbon, Portugal. Keynote speakers and chairperson, official and college of ministries and agencies, representative from private sector, NGOs, and universities, and media, and all participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and General Director, who are currently attending a visit to the food estate horticulture on Wonosobo and Central Java. So I, Siti Munifa, the Executive Secretary of Indonesian Agency for Agricultural Extension and Human Resources Development, would like to express my gratitude and welcome to you in the International Symposium 2021 of Southeast Asia Vegetables, SEAVEG, Vegetable for Resilient and Healthy Diets. It is with the great pleasure that we welcome each and every one of you on this fine day in excellent condition and health. We are also very grateful for a committee who have managed to organize the symposium so that we can welcome all of our distinguished guests in the best condition and to share our ideas during this difficult time to make sure that our effort in ensuring the resilience of agriculture sector remaining strong. I hope we all can significantly give more contribution to the nation advancement in the not too distant future. To all of our distinguished guests and participants, thanks you for being here. Welcome and enjoy the symposium with 5 teams. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
For the welcoming remarks.
And now, for the official opening of today's ceremony, International Symposium, Southeast Asia Vegetable, by the Minister of Agriculture, Indonesia, that will be represented by Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti, Director of Indonesia Agency for Agriculture Education. To Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti, please take the stage. To that, I would like to invite Dr. Bambang Sudarmanto, Director of Polytechnic of Agriculture, Yogyakarta, Magelang, and Vice Regent of Regency, Mr. Heri Susanto, to the stage to join Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti for the official opening of today's seminar, International Symposium, Southeast Asia Vegetable 2021. The opening will be symbolized by the sounding of the gong. Thank you.
We say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We officially open the International Symposia of Southeast Asia Vegetable.
Thank you to Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti for the official opening of today's seminar, Southeast Asia Vegetable 2021. You may please be seated.
Moving right along, a welcoming remarks from Dr. Premnath, the chairman of SEAVEG and a chairperson of Vegetable Science International Network, or VEGINET, from India. Please let us welcome to Dr. Premnath. To Dr. Premnath, the time is yours.
So please turn on your microphone. Excuse me, Dr. Premnath, sorry, please to turn on your microphone.
Excuse me to Dr. Premnath. Please turn on your microphone because your microphone is still off.
Apologies, Dr. Premnath. Please, would you kindly please turn on your microphone because your microphone is still off. Thank you.
Excuse me to Dr. Premnath. Please turn on your microphone because your microphone is still off.
Mr. Prem, your voice not here in.
Apologies, Dr. Prem. We cannot hear you, so please could you kindly turn on your microphone and start over from the beginning. Thank you. Apologies. I repeat again to Dr. Premnath. I'm sorry, but we cannot still hear you. Could you please turn up your volume?
Or you may use headset.
Before you continue, would you kindly please do a sound check? Thank you.
Apologies to Dr. Prem. We can still not hear your voice because your mic may be still turned off. Or you may use the headphone. Or you can check the sound to check we hear or not.
Okay, Dr. Premnath, you may continue.
Di sini nih dia gangguan. Enggak ada.
Kalau surat itu di mana?
Thank you to Dr. Premnath.
Apologies due to technical issue. We kindly ask of you to send us a pre-recorded welcoming remarks. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a small coffee break. To all present audience, you may leave the room. And to all online participants, we humbly ask for you not to exit the Zoom call because we will begin our seminar shortly. Announcement to the chairperson of this seminar and the scientific committee and the notary, please make your way to Pandega 2. Invited guests, we invite you to our showroom outside that is a showcase of the products that is produced by the student and partners of Indonesia Agriculture Ministry. Thank you. You may leave the room.
Kami persilakan kepada Bapak dan Ibu partisipan untuk mencoba ke dalam showroom, melihat beberapa produk dari kami, dari Kementerian Pertanian. Bisa langsung ke bagian belakang. Terima kasih.
Kepada chairperson dan scientific committee dan konsulen diharapkan menuju ke ruangan Pandega 2. Pemandangan 2. Terima kasih.
Untuk online partisipan dimohon tidak meninggalkan Zoom meeting. Terima kasih.
dipromosikan lagi sama pemerintah pariwisata menjadi kimandan di seluruh Indonesia. Putri cening ayu, ngijang cening juma, meme luas malu, kepekan membelanja, apang ada darah nasi.
Ngeblend antara jamu kopi istilahnya apa namanya inovasi baru Pak, karena di musim pandemi ini kan butuh yang ada manfaatnya. Selain kopi, mungkin kopi udah ada manfaatnya tapi di blend dengan jamu akan selama ini kami setelah sudah dicoba-coba dan trial Pak, dan hasilnya alhamdulillah nggak ada efek samping yang siap.
Maria nari dulu.
Enak. Enak. Enak.
Ya.
Hati bersuara, jalan tuh.
Pun. Polbangtan Medan memiliki komitmen menciptakan generasi masa depan yang profesional dan berkompeten, kreatif, berkarya, serta cerdas melihat peluang untuk berwirausaha.
Polbangtan Medan, pendidikan vokasional yang menyelenggarakan Tridharma perguruan tinggi. Visi menjadi Politeknik Pembangunan Pertanian Medan unggul dalam menyiapkan sumber daya manusia pertanian yang profesional, mandiri, dan berdaya saing untuk mewujudkan kedaulatan pangan dan kesejahteraan petani.
Polbangtan Medan hingga saat ini menjaga konsistensinya untuk melahirkan lulusan yang siap bekerja menjadi wirausahawan dan menjadi penyuluh berbasis teknologi.
Untuk menghasilkan SDM yang unggul, Polbangtan Medan
I would like to remind to the chairperson, the scientific committee, and the notary to please head to Pamandangan 2. Thank you.
Diumumkan kembali kepada seluruh chairperson untuk segera ke pemandangan 2.
Penyuluhan pertanian dengan memberikan pelatihan kepada penyuluh untuk meningkatkan kompetensi penyuluh dan kemudian melakukan pembinaan desa mitra dalam upaya peningkatan kompetensi anggota kelompok tani.
Untuk pengabdian masyarakat, Polbangtan Medan tidak hanya bertujuan untuk meningkatkan kemampuan para lulusannya, tetapi juga berupaya meningkatkan kemampuan para petani sehingga para anggota kelompok tani menjadi andalan untuk peningkatan produktivitas pertanian di daerahnya masing-masing. Untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang cerdas melihat peluang, wirausaha
Ini kasih kok.
Tugasnya rawan lagi kayak lah kartu dah jamate lamun cak jujurna. Yang bisa mana?
Oh ya? Enggak. Ya sebenarnya.
Aku tengah ceramah itu loh. Kadang
Politeknik Partai Yogyakarta Magelang, Polbantan Yoma adalah perguruan kedinasan di bawah Kementerian Pertanian yang dilaksanakan oleh Badan Penyuluhan dan Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Pertanian atau Badan PPSDMP. Visi Polbantan adalah menjadi politeknik Kementerian Pertanian yang unggul dalam menyiapkan sumber daya manusia pertanian yang profesional, mandiri, dan berdaya saing untuk mewujudkan kedaulatan pangan dan kesejahteraan petani. Terdapat 2 jurusan, yakni jurusan pertanian dan peternakan. Jurusan pertanian terdiri dari 3 prodi, yaitu prodi penyuluhan pertanian berkelanjutan, prodi agribisnis hortikultura, dan prodi teknologi benih. Sedangkan jurusan peternakan terdiri dari 3 prodi, yaitu prodi penyuluhan peternakan dan kesejahteraan hewan, prodi teknologi produksi ternak, dan prodi teknologi pakan ternak.
Itu. Lagi aku udah usah lagi ah.
Polbantan merupakan sekolah berbasis Islam. Ada beberapa belajar, jalur undangan, jalur kerjasama, jalur umum, dan jalur POSKM, yakni prestasi di bidang olahraga, seni, dan keilmuan. Seperti perguruan tinggi lainnya, Polbantan berkewajiban untuk menjalankan tridharma perguruan tinggi, yakni pengajaran, penelitian, dan pengabdian. Untuk menunjang kegiatan tersebut, Polbantan menyediakan fasilitas-fasilitas seperti perpustakaan, laboratorium teknologi benih, laboratorium perlindungan tanaman, laboratorium pertanian dasar, laboratorium produksi hasil ternak, peralatan tani modern, laboratorium produksi pakan ternak, dan laboratorium reproduksi ternak. Salah satu keunggulan Polbantan adalah memiliki unit penunjang akademik yang disebut dengan Teaching Factory atau lebih dikenal dengan TEVA. Dengan kebun seluas 33 hektar yang dikelola bersama dengan 20 perusahaan dan lembaga mitra, Teva menjadi model pembelajaran bagi mahasiswa berupa praktek di dunia kerja, membantu mahasiswa mampu berwirausaha dan menghasilkan produk sesuai dengan kebutuhan pasar. Pendidikan karakter juga diajarkan kepada mahasiswa untuk menjadi pribadi yang unggul. Di antaranya adalah rajin dan tertib beribadah, memiliki sifat disiplin, dan cinta terhadap lingkungan dimanapun berada. Selain itu, mahasiswa juga dibekali dengan bermacam-macam soft skill, di antaranya seperti drum band dan gamelan.
Malang Agricultural Development Polytechnic or Polbantan, an official state university established in 1986 in Malang, East Java. This campus is under the Agricultural Human Resources Extension and Development Agency of the Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Indonesia. Through a creative and innovative vocational education in agriculture that is in line with the needs in the industrial sector, government, and society, Polbantan Malang commits to continue supporting agricultural development to develop Indonesian food sovereignty. In Polbantan, exploration and implementation of science are conducted through 2 majors, with 3 different study programs offered. Polbantan provides a place to achieve dreams while collaborating with industries, business, government agencies, and the community. Polbantan also directly contributes to the agricultural community programs held by the Ministry of Agriculture, which are spread nationally and distributed to all corners. Beautiful classrooms in a very comfortable environment and reliable inside and outside internet networks support the young generation of agriculture who are oriented to become professional, independent, and competitive figures. In the end, Polbantan will produce graduates with soft skills and the spirit of agro-sociopreneur. They will become persons with faith and purity, a noble character, and a soul service to the nation and country. Polbantan is an official agricultural campus that develops brave people who takes the challenges of civilization. The resulting academic community and alumni have proven themselves in making a real contribution to developing state agriculture and as a tangible form of assistance to human regeneration qualified agriculture. We believe that the sincerity and professionalism of the Malang Polbangtan community in serving in the agricultural sector will impact the welfare of farmers and the public. Let's make Indonesia a world food board with Malang Agricultural Development Polytechnics.
Politeknik Pembangunan Pertanian Goa adalah perguruan tinggi di lingkungan Kementerian Pertanian yang menyelenggarakan pendidikan tinggi program vokasi dalam berbagai rumpun ilmu terapan untuk mendukung pembangunan pertanian. Terletak di Provinsi Sulawesi Selatan, kampus Polbangtan Goa terdapat di 2 kabupaten, yaitu Kampus 1 jurusan Pertanian terletak di Kelurahan Romang Lompoa, Kecamatan Bontomarandu, Kabupaten Goa, dan Kampus 2 jurusan Peternakan terletak di Desa Bakunge, Kecamatan Pondre, Kabupaten Bono. Polbangtan Goa terdiri dari 2 jurusan dan 4 program studi, yaitu jurusan Pertanian dengan program studi Diploma 3 Budidaya Tanaman Hortikultura dan Diploma 4 Penyuluhan Pertanian Berkelanjutan. Sedangkan jurusan Peternakan yaitu program studi Diploma 3 Budidaya Ternak dan Diploma 4 Penyuluhan Peternakan dan Kesejahteraan Hewan. Adapun yang menjadi visi Polbangtan Goa adalah menjadi politeknik unggul dalam menyiapkan sumber daya manusia pertanian yang profesional, mandiri dan berdaya saing untuk mewujudkan kedaulatan pangan dan kesejahteraan petani dengan tujuan untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang kompeten dan profesional memiliki jiwa agrososiopreneurship serta pengabdian kepada bangsa dan negara. Salah satu program yang keberhasilan lulusan mahasiswa Polbangtan Goa sebagai agrososiopreneur adalah program penumbuhan wirausahawan muda pertanian yang digagas oleh Pusat Pendidikan Pertanian BPP SDMP. Melalui KHMP, generasi milenial diharapkan bisa menghadirkan inovasi, juga menjadi penggerak, penggagas, dan pencipta gagasan besar di berbagai dimensi ruang dan waktu kehidupan.
Polbangtan Goa juga memiliki teaching factory yang diarahkan menjadi tema perkebunan khususnya tanaman kakao. Tema perkebunan Polbangtan Goa dalam perkembangannya beberapa kegiatan telah dilakukan oleh mahasiswa, seperti budidaya tanaman kakao maupun pengolahan hasilnya. Saat ini, pabrik kakao di Polbangtan Goa sudah mencapai tahap akhir. Diharapkan agar pabrik ini dapat mendukung program tema perkebunan kakao di Polbangtan Goa, serta dapat membantu pengolahan hasil hingga tahap penjualan, terutama bagi mahasiswa, baik program PWMP maupun praktikum dan perkuliahan.
Polbangtan Manokwari, in carrying out the learning process, prioritize a teaching factory-based campus. Students of the Sustainable Agricultural Extension Study Program regularly carry out the process of planting rice to harvesting. In addition, the integration of practical research such as planting sweet potatoes as a form of food diversification.
Lu hanum di taker nih. Itu dan kau fokusan.
Chickens, which are managed intensively. There are also laying hens with a cage system using a battery cage system. The health of cattle is regularly monitored. In addition, there are also pigs and goats, which are all used for student learning. Teaching Factory, the Plantation Plants Production Study Program, includes cacao nurseries and land clearing. The teaching factory of Polbangtan Manokwari is supported by agricultural equipment and machinery units that support students' practice activities. In addition, there is also a camping ground for bonding activities. Who are competent, innovative, and have an agro-sociopreneurship spirit.
Ladies and gentlemen, we cordially invite you back to the room and please be seated because we will continue to the main event shortly. Kepada seluruh peserta dimohon untuk kembali ke tempat duduk masing-masing karena acara akan segera kami mulai. Terima kasih.
Matang atas iki. Mbak.
I will repeat it, ladies and gentlemen, we cordially invite you back to the room. And please be seated because we will continue the main event shortly. Kepada tamu peserta, diharap untuk kembali ke tempat duduk masing-masing dikarenakan acara akan segera kami mulai. Terima kasih. Now to begin our main event, the start of this international symposium. So it is Asia Vegetable 2021. Allow me to introduce you, the head chairperson of this international symposium, SEAVEG 2021, Dr. Witono Adiyoga. Dr. Witono Adiyoga is a researcher in the Indonesian Vegetable Research Institute since 1982. His field of study concentrates on social economic and the study of vegetables crops. To Dr. Witono Adiyoga, the lead is yours.
Iya.
Good morning, distinguished guests, participants, and also ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Symposium of Southeast Asia Vegetable with the theme of Vegetable for Resilience and Healthy Diets. So this morning we will be having 3 keynote speakers. So the first keynote speakers is from the So the first keynote speaker will be presenting a paper entitled Policies on Horticulture Production During COVID-19 Pandemic in Indonesia. It's supposed to be presented by Professor Dedi Nur Samsi, but because he has an important occasion to attend, it will be presented by Dr. Ida Widi Prasanti. So I will invite Ibu Ida to the stage. So before we start the presentation, allow me to read the short CV of Ibu Ida Widi Prasanti. So she got her BS degree from the IPB, Bogor Agricultural University, and then she got her master degree in Gajah Mada University, and then Humboldt University of Berlin in Germany. So after her active career in several managerial positions in IARD, at present she is acting as the director of the Indonesian Center for Agricultural Education. So as a researcher, she has also been awarded as the most outstanding project and principal investigator of AFACI GAP project in 2014, 2015, and 2017. And as a researcher, she has also published some articles in both national and international scientific journals. So without further ado, I think I would like to invite Ibu Ida Santi to present her presentation.
Thank you, Pak Witono. As the chairman of this session, thank you for already introduced me my short curriculum vitae. And because of the DG of Indonesian Agency of Extension and Human Resource Development has another agenda today, so I represent Professor Dedi Nur Samsi to present the policies on horticulture production during the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia as a keynote speaker. As we know already that because of the pandemic, we face many changes in global strategy of environment. Whereas we face the warning of the dry seasons, and then also the food crisis threat, disruption of food ability for all of the people in Indonesia, global food export restriction, and also the trade war among countries in the world.
Iwan seruak karena perlu belenyang kan sok. Itu penting tugas kurang.
And this kind of challenges is actually face and also threat our national food security because there are some challenges, for example, such as disruption of agriculture production, movement of people or labor restrictions, and the disruption of food distribution and limited area of closure. People purchasing power decrease and also happen layoffs in our country. So because of this condition, the Ministry of Agriculture have policies and also several programs. The first is increase staple food productivity. The second one, streamlining food distribution, and then facilitate transportation access because there are many limitations. Maintain price stabilization and also develop buffer stock and market intervention. And all of these program or activities have the main purpose to improving the welfare of the farmers. As already stated by the Ministry of Agriculture and also our President, said that the agriculture sector has contributed to the positive highest to national economic growth, which is in a position to experience in a slowdown. And because of this condition, we realize that agriculture sector still and remain positive and exists during this pandemic COVID-19. And then agriculture development face also several challenges. The first is food availability for more than 250 million Indonesian, and it is estimated to continue to grow in line with the population growth of 1.26% per year. And then we face also challenges on massive land conservation, the dominance of farmers who are mostly over 55 years old. The COVID-19 pandemic also disrupt food security, particularly for the restriction on the food distribution. The complexity of the institution that handle food from upstream to downstream make it difficult to increase the added value of the commodities. The formulation of food policy is still partial because of the implementation of food policy is carried out in a sectoral manner. So that's why, based on these challenges, we have to form kind of policy or solution to integrate upstream and downstream food management. In his instruction related to the agriculture sector, our president or the president of Republic Indonesia said that 3 points. The first is a farm sector, that the farmer need to move from on-farm to off-farm by providing added value through processing agricultural product. And then the access or facilitate for credit is also necessary. We are in Indonesia call it KUR, Kredit Usaha Rakyat, and this is actually needed to explore or to improve the business of agriculture. And then farmer also working in the economic scale, whereas we can work, we can do the integrated farming in the farmer corporation. So it is very important to achieve the economic scale, because in some areas of Indonesia, we face a very limited land, and then the ownership of the land is only not more than 1 hectare. On the situation in Indonesia, and then the Minister of Agriculture have 5 action programs that try to solve this kind of problem of agriculture development. The first program, how quality food availability, access and consumption. The second program is added value and industrial competitiveness. And then there's also science, technology, research and innovation program, vocational education and training program, and also management support program. From this action program, our minister then tried to formulate several strategies supporting the agriculture development, particularly for food security and sustainable competitive improvement. And we call it the ways of working, or cara bertindak. And we have CB, we call it CB, 5 CB, CB1, CB2, CB3, 4, and 5. For the CB1, we have to improve the capacity of production, particularly for the main commodities in Indonesia. For the CB2, we have also tried to diversify our local food and also to support or empower the genetic resources in each area in Indonesia. Concerning that our country has many potential, particularly for local commodities or local agriculture. And the CB3 is strengthening reserve and food logistics system. It is very important because we face limitation during the pandemic COVID-19, and then also the development of modern agriculture is very necessary because during this pandemic, there are many limitations. We can use technology or innovation to keep working in agriculture, and then agriculture would support the food sovereignty in Indonesia. And the CB5 is export, because besides we produce also to improve our food sovereignty, we can export our product, our high value products to the other country who also need to maintain their food security in their country. That is very valuable because we will have a high foreign currency in terms of export. And then based on the commodities we have, horticulture is very important. Horticulture or vegetable concern as a value products in Indonesia. So that's why we have to try to form the development of horticulture or vegetable in certain policies and also program. One of the program of the horticultures or vegetable is Kampung Hortikultura. We call it Kampung Hortikultura or horticulture village. Whereas in this Kampung Hortikultura, we have a concept that one village, it should be, there is a one priority commodities to be explored. And then in this Kampung Horticultura or horticulture village, the government could support something that need by the farmers, for example, like assistance, capacity building, or maybe input in order to improve the capacity of business for the farmers. And do not forget that farmers should working in one system of agribusiness. It means that they cannot only working in one subsector, for example, for production commodities only, but they also integrated with the downstream and also with the upstream subsector, for example. And we can say that they have to work in one corporation area in order to produce the economic scale, so the farmers would feel of the demand of the consumer in Indonesia, and also they can work in economic scale efficiency and effectively. And for sure, if they are working in this integrated farming in the corporation areas, it will be increase the welfare of the farmer in these certain areas. Something about horticulture, the high value product is also need to be digitalized, because now we are coming in the industry 4.0. Some of the activities that are trying to digitalize the vegetable activities, vegetable farming, for example, have to be done. For example, like we are moving from conventional farming to the digitalization or development information system. Something about horticulture. There are many programs, for example, there are many systems, there are many applications who make the farmers or all of us easier to work in horticulture sector, because this kind of limitation, this kind of restriction, and then we can still try to market our product or farmers' product directly to the customer, for example. And then it is very important also to taking care of promotion, product development, product marketing, and also export in order to meet the demand of the customer of horticulture or vegetable. Well, something that also very important, we should also talking about the human resource development in horticulture or vegetable, because nowadays horticulture or vegetable considered as the high value product should be managed efficiently. It is very important to improve the human capital capacity, for example. It's very important also to implement the digital technology and also adapt the innovation that change very quickly for the horticulture product. The Ministry of Agriculture also have activities or have programs to empower the millennial farmers, support the sustainable of horticulture, because horticulture or vegetable concern as a high value product and also give more profit compared to the other crops or commodities. So we are trying to support, we are trying to implement to keep some challenges we face nowadays. The number of farmers household, for example, the last 10 years decreased by 5 million. And then as many as 61% of Indonesian farmers are over than 45 years old. Many millennials consider that the profession of farmer is not present as their career in the future. And the decline on the number of farmers also threaten Indonesia to realize the food sovereignty in the future. So to deal with the challenges, we have also considered that the young generation is needed as the successor of agriculture development in the future. Technology advance is also needed, particularly we are now in Industry 4.0, And then the millennial farmer are expected to innovate and have creativity and ideas to working in agriculture with new product and also meet the demand of the customer. Availability of agricultural land still in Indonesia. So that's why we could push some of the young generation or young farmer or the millennial keep working in agriculture because we still have potential on that. So in this kind of direction, we can support, we can empower the millennial farmers and integrate with digitalization so that we can develop the sustainable of horticulture now and also in the future. I think that's all of my presentation, Pak Witono. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bu. Thank you, Bu. Thank you, Bu Santi, for the excellent presentation. So let's move to the second keynote speaker, Dr. Premnath. Allow me to read his short CV. Dr. Premnath is the founder of the PNAS Foundation established in 2000. So Dr. Nath obtained his PhD degree in horticulture from the Kansas State University in the USA in 1962. The same year, he returned to India and served as the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, University of Utsipur, Indian Institute of Horticultural Research for about 15 years before joining the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and served in different capacities in a number of countries like Indonesia, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Arab Republic, Italy, Myanmar, and Thailand for about 25 years. With the last posting as FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative for Asia and the Pacific, and headed FAO Regional Office in Bangkok, Thailand, from where he retired in 2000. So even on his retirement with the FAO, Dr. Nath continues his activity on issues on food and agriculture, horticulture, through the Dr. Premnath Agricultural Science Foundation, PNASF, to which he has donated his life savings. Recently, Dr. Premnath is the chairman of the Premnath Agricultural Science Foundations. As a chairman of the organizing council of the International Conference on Vegetable in 2002, he successfully organized the conference held during November 2002 at Bangalore, where about 700 delegates from about 39 countries participate. During the 29th June and 2nd July of 2005, he organized also the first international workshop on urban and peri-urban agriculture for Asian countries at Bangalore for the FAO UN, where delegates from different Asian countries participated under his chairmanship. And then the International Conference on Horticulture was organized also by the PNASF, VEGINET and the University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore, during November 9 until 12 in 2009 in Bangalore also, where about 750 participants from more than 40 countries attended. So he served as the chairman of the WTO cell government of Karnataka and as the member of the various committees in food and agriculture at the state, national, and international level. So he is the fellow of a number of national and international professional societies, academy in horticulture and agriculture. So I would like to invite Dr. Premnath to present his paper. So because I heard that we still have a connection problem with Dr. Premnath, So what we are going to present is his slides presentation. Please. So the title of the presentation is Vegetable Ensures Nutrition Security by Dr. Prema. We are really sorry for this inconvenience, but we still have connection problem with Dr. Prema, so he cannot be available online. So he just present his presentation.
Bye-bye. Ada suara tuh. Ada suara tuh.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation, Dr. Premnath. It's quite unfortunate that we cannot hear your voice though. So let's move on to the third keynote speaker. We will be hearing from Dr. Marco Wopereis from the World Vegetable Center. So before he presents his papers, so I would like to also to read his short curriculum vitae. So Dr. Marco joined the World Vegetable Center as Director General in April 2016 and is based in Taiwan. An agronomist with a doctorate in tropical agronomy from Wageningen University, the Netherlands. He has global expertise in agricultural science and management, and previously served as Deputy Director General and Director of Research for Development of the Africa Rice Center in Benin, and as the Director of the Annual Crops Department of the French Agricultural Research Center for International Development, CIRAD, in France. He also worked in different capacities for the International Fertilizer Development Center in Togo, the West Africa, Rice Development Association, now Africa Rice in Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire, and for the International Rice Research Institute in the Philippines. His specific strengths include fostering productive, action-oriented partnership for efficient and effective research among international research institutes, national research systems, the private sector, and community organization. So the paper that will be presented by Dr. Marco, entitled Vegetable Research Matters for Southeast Asia. So for Dr. Marco, the floor and screen are yours.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Allow me to share my screen. Well, thank you for that very kind introduction. And distinguished participants, wherever you are, very good morning or afternoon actually from Taiwan. A good morning to all of you there in Indonesia. It is really, for me, a real pity that I cannot be physically present there in Yogyakarta. I would have loved to come to Indonesia to attend SEAVEG 2021. It's really unfortunate that it is not possible because of the reasons we all know, but it is really an honor for me to present this keynote on vegetable research matters for Southeast Asia at the start of this very important event. So I would like to go with you through 3 points, basically, just to highlight why more research on vegetables is really critical now, more than ever, I would say. And then touch upon some innovations that we could think of, and I would categorize them into pull innovations, push innovations, and policy innovations. And then I would like to conclude. Well, why is it so important now to work on vegetables? Because they can really be an option to make our food systems more healthy, because our current food systems are clearly failing human health. 3 billion people right now suffer from poor quality diets, be it either too many calories and fats or too few micronutrients or both. And an astonishing 25% of our children under the age of 5 are stunted. And that means that these kids, they will never grow up to their full physical and mental potential. And right now, a growing concern is the overweight and obesity problems we are seeing. And I lifted this figure from a presentation by Roy Steiner from the Rockefeller Foundation, where, he cited a paper in Diabetes Care, where it's calculated that the cost of one disease, diabetes, in East Asia and the Pacific is costing society $321 billion a year, and it was in 2015. And if we continue business as usual, that will double by 2030. And this is not exceptional for East Asia and Pacific region. It is a worldwide problem. For example, in the United States, per year, it's roughly right now also more than $300 billion US cost to society for one disease. And you see on that bar diagram to the right that dietary risks are topping the list of concerns about avoidable deaths ahead of tobacco and air pollution. So these are major, major issues. And I think many people feel that if we increase consumption of healthy, or let's say protective foods, to take the term that the Rockefeller Foundation is using, increasing consumption of protective foods is really critical. And what do we mean with protected foods? Legumes, vegetables, fish, fruit, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. And if you look at the diagram there to the right, to the bottom of the slide, you see that worldwide these protective foods are critically under-consumed. Just look at the vegetables. You see there that worldwide per capita consumption of vegetables is only at 53% of what the World Health Organization considers as minimal. So we have a long way to go. And let me just zoom into a bit the regions worldwide and look at vegetables and fruits. Well, I work for the World Vegetable Center, so you will forgive me that I look at the vegetables, but fruits are close cousins, of course, of vegetables. Usually people talk about fruits and vegetables, but let's look at the vegetables here. And these are box plots. So if you just zoom in on sub-Saharan Africa, the box plot there has a solid line in the middle of the box. That's the median. So if you look at that, you see that 50% of countries in sub-Saharan Africa are facing a per capita consumption rate of vegetables of less than 70 grams per capita per day. That is way below the red dotted line you see there, which represents what World Health Organization says is minimal 240 gram per capita per day. That's about 3 servings of 80 grams. And it's way below the red solid line, which represent what Afshin et al. Published in 2019 as being the optimal level for vegetables, 360 grams per capita per day. So yeah, everyone is way below that. There are some countries in East Asia that are close or just above the World Health Organization recommendation, but grosso modo, all countries fall way short of recommended levels in fruits and vegetables, and that's a major issue. And it can become worse. By 2050, 70% of the world's population will be living in urban areas. Urbanization is all over the place. And yeah, that means there will be more mouths to feed. I hope with nutritious food. Yeah, and that's already not possible now. And of course, we see also a worrying trend of changing consumer preferences in particular in urban cities towards more processed, generally more unhealthy food. So we have to fight against that and create the space, if you like, for the protective foods I just talked about. So affordability of vegetables is, of course, you all know that the key issue, and you can see it on the map, the orange and red countries. There's a problem with affordability in Asia and also in sub-Saharan Africa. And in general, valuing vegetables is not obvious. Sometimes we need to convince people to eat more vegetables for X, Y, Z reasons. And yeah, a lot of work on the demand side is needed. Now, on the supply side, it's also interesting where you see with vegetables variable levels of productivity depending on maybe what Dr. Arsanti called the modernization of horticulture. So if you go from left to right, or maybe you should go from right to left, modernization is taking shape. So on the left, Armenia, you see their protected cultivation in greenhouse tomatoes. It's all tomatoes. You see there maybe 120 tons, 130 tons per hectare per year is possible there. And if you move to the right and we end in open field rain-fed tomato production systems, there maybe we only have 7 to 10 tons. So you go from 120 to 7 to 10. And of course, if you think of tomato, you can reach by now 550 to 600 tons per hectare under completely controlled conditions, of course, with completely different management and completely different varieties. So there is a lot of variability there. There's a strong seasonality component as well, which leads to sometimes having too many vegetables and sometimes not enough. So you have all these price fluctuations. So how can we actually even out those price fluctuations and grow vegetables year round is a key question. And how can we combat post-harvest losses? On top of all that, there are concerns about food safety. And that is maybe why sometimes consumers don't want to eat vegetables, because they're afraid maybe of pesticide residues. And that's maybe not completely irrational, because what we looked at in farmers' fields in terms of pesticide use is worrying. So you see there data from some countries in Southeast Asia where 100% of the farmers we worked with in Vietnam, 73% in Laos, and 59% of farmers in Cambodia were overspraying. Basically, they use pesticide as some sort of insurance policy because they have already invested a lot and they don't want to lose that. So chemical pesticides, I repeat, chemical pesticides are usually relatively cheap and easy to get by. And that means we have this preventive spraying practice, which is worrying for the farmer who's spraying, worrying for the consumer who's eating, and worrying for the environment, obviously. So can we drastically reduce that type of behavior is important. And I also lifted data on life cycle analyses just to get an idea of carbon footprint and water footprint of vegetable systems worldwide. There are data on that in high income countries, in low to middle income countries, very rare. But I found one in Benin, where I worked before. We have also a center there. It's next to Nigeria in West Africa. And there we saw huge environmental issues, in particular, again, with pesticide use, even pesticide use meant for cotton, used in horticulture, and also excess application of nitrogen and phosphorus fertilizer. And with relatively low yields, this means a tremendous environmental footprint per kilo of produce, in this case, tomato. So yeah, there are things to do on the demand side, pulling consumers towards vegetables. There are things to do on the supply side. And this conference is all about that, I think, innovations. What can we do in particular in these two areas, pull and push? And I like to put this scheme on the screen here is, of course, a depiction of the food systems we are talking about, adapted from the high-level panel of experts published in 2017, the high-level panel of experts of the United Nations. Now, these light boxes are the drivers that act on the food system. So you have the biophysical and environmental drivers, think of climate change. You have innovation, that's about us. We have to innovate our way out of the current system towards a better future. So what innovations can we bring in? There are political and economic drivers. What are the policies of government? And it's so interesting to see that Indonesia is working towards horticultural villages. Then there are social cultural drivers. Yeah, sometimes people really don't want to eat vegetables, need to understand why. And then demographic drivers, the main one being urbanization. They all affect food supply chains, the food environment, so where you access food, maybe a retail market, maybe a canteen in a company, maybe in school. And it affects consumer behavior, the willingness to eat vegetables, for example. All this leads to dietary choices, and then that will lead to nutrition and health outcomes, socioeconomic outcomes, and environmental outcomes. And we can try to influence that with policies and programs, for example, extension programs. Now, of course, we would like to move these three outcomes to triple win: a win in terms of nutrition and health, a win in terms of jobs and income, and a win in terms of environmental footprint. Now, I think it's also important to think of 4 A's when you think of perishable commodities like vegetables. We need to increase availability of vegetables. We need to work on the affordability of vegetables. We need to work on accessibility, because sometimes people may not be able to access vegetables. Think of a big capital where maybe it's easier to buy junk food than vegetables, right? And acceptability. So these 4 A's we need to keep in mind. Now, I like to keep this scheme still on the screen for a second, to think about what COVID-19 actually meant for vegetable production systems. So the first thing was a lot of people became ill. And studies showed that if you are better nourished, if you have better quality diet, you're less likely to get seriously ill from COVID-19. Of course, lockdowns immediately affected food supply chains. Access to seed was a big issue in Asia, because lots of farmers buy their seed from seed companies, about 20 to 30%. Labor shortage, because vegetable systems are labor intensive. Transport issues to get products to the market, and thereby creating losses. Availability at stores came down, prices went up, and affordability became a problem. And we saw even the demand shifting away from vegetables and fruits towards more processed commodities, because they were just available and cheap. So all that also led to food waste. Livelihoods affected. We, for example, found in a study in India that incomes from the 60% of the vegetable farmers we interviewed went down very, very seriously. Now, key takeaways from the studies we have done in 2020 and 2021 in Africa and Asia, there are quite a few. I'll just lift out 1 or 2 given time constraints, but I think the one in bold is the main one. COVID-19 is exacerbating existing challenges and weak points in our food systems. For example, lengthy value chains with a long distance, if you like, between where we produce the vegetables and where we consume it. And also poor infrastructure in terms of storage and processing. And that was already the case. COVID-19 has put the finger where it hurts. One observation, also interesting one, is that home gardens turned out to be an interesting strategy. Households that worked with home gardens, and I think you call that food gardens. Dr. Asanti talked about that under CB2, the ministry. That turned out to be a very good strategy, building resilience of households against the impact of COVID-19. So it's still an evolving crisis, unfortunately, and there are many, many unknowns. Now, at World Vegetable Center, we have tried to capture that scheme that I just show into just 3 things. That's just easier, 3 Ps. Pull, push, and policy. So pull is all about acceptability and accessibility. How can we stimulate that? The push is about availability and affordability. How can we improve there, and the policy itself. That framework is explained in a position paper we developed for the UN food systems this year. You can download that paper when you click on the link. It's written by Jody Harris, our food systems specialist, with many partners. Now, let me then just dive into some ideas, some innovations on the pull, push, and policy side. And I'm sure many of these will also be debated today and tomorrow. So let's start with pull. So what can you do to entice people to eat better food? So social marketing campaigns, maybe some music star or a sports hero can help that way on television or radio, or just nutrition literacy campaigns. And what I really like is this home gardens, community gardens, and school gardens approach. And especially the school gardens will help children to cultivate a liking for nutritious food like vegetables. So, for example, we worked with home gardens in Bangladesh, where we trained 10,000 women in home gardening and nutrition and generated evidence that this actually works, because we went back after the intervention end 1 year later, 3 years later, and next year we go back 5 years later. So women, of course, knew about vegetables. Maybe the innovation there was that we came in with seed kits and increased the diversity of vegetables these women were working with. And also, I think the nutrition education was really very important to understand, to make sure everybody understands what several vegetables mean in terms of nutrition quality for households. So interestingly, that we also did that in other countries, like in Cambodia, and that was in the northwestern part of Cambodia. There we worked with 3,000 farmers. And here was interesting. We also came back 1 or 2 years after the project ended, and we saw a shift there towards cultivating vegetables for the market. So there was like a specialization towards 1 or 2 vegetables, mainly fruit vegetables. Of course, that brings income to the family. Now, whether that income is then used for to help with nutritional status in the family is still a question. When we look at our work in Africa, it's not as convincing as in Asia, and because of many management issues, and also in particular access to water. Let me quickly touch on school gardens. I know that we have a Vegetables Go to School program with Indonesia, and I've seen in the agenda that we'll talk about that. We continue that work in Nepal, because we observed in some countries that working with kids and only school gardens creates a knowledge, it creates a liking for the vegetables, but we didn't see any improvement in the volume of vegetables consumed by children. That is because we were good on the demand side, but not on the supply side, because school garden is just too small to cater to all these children that want to have a good lunch. So here, when we started to work with parents, much more than we did before, and work with them to establish home gardens at home. We had a not like demonstration and preaching. It's about really taking these people where you work with very serious, listen to them, what knowledge do they have, and how can we together move forward in producing quality vegetables for these households, and indeed perhaps start marketing some of them. So this can be downloaded from our website, and I hope so much that this will help scale the home garden approach. Now let's then push also on the food environment. We talked about the consumer, the food environment. Well, we can maybe prioritize institutional food procurement, make sure that we subsidize healthy food in canteens in companies, that we subsidize healthy food in canteens in government agencies or in schools. Very important, I think. We can also bring the vegetables closer to the consumer by mobile vendors or direct delivery systems. And of course, we can try to place fruits and vegetables more prominently in shops and canteens. Let's move to push now. And let me talk about seed first, because I think this is the entry point. So when you talk about vegetables, the diversity is amazing. So we have our global favorites. You can see them on the screen. There's tomato, there's pepper, there's bitter gourd, onion, cabbage. But there's so many others. We call them traditional Asian vegetables, like hundreds of them, like Malabar spinach. And I think that is the secret of vegetables. It's the diversity, because you can create, when you create diversity in the farm, you will create diversity in the plate, and you will have more nutritious and healthy diets. And you create also many niche markets, allowing people to earn a living. So when I think of the horticultural village, the Kampung Horticultura, maybe some of these villages can start to specialize in some of these traditional vegetables. Now, World Veg is well placed, I think, to work on seed, because we have the largest collection in the world of vegetables, more than 60,000 accessions coming from 150 countries, representing 440 species. That is an incredible task. And it's something to regenerate that, because every species has a different way of growth, of course, and how you handle that. Now, but still, we are managing, and we are sending out 10,000 accessions roughly per year, and you can apply for these seeds through our website. Now, we also collaborate with the private sector, because we feel that is an important scaling pathway in Asia, because many farmers buy seed from seed companies. So we have currently 38 seed companies member of this consortium, where our best breeding lines are picked up, and these seed companies are continuing the breeding process for specific market and growth conditions. The priority crops are tomato, pepper, bitter gourd, and pumpkin. Traditional vegetables will have to go through the informal sector. Maybe once we have identified local champions, private sector may be interested, but we also need to stimulate that demand. Let's move on to agronomy, good agricultural practices. I think a lot of good presentations this coming days on this. We need to get it right in terms of seed and particular seedlings. If we can have healthy seedlings, we are just such a step ahead in vegetable consumption. Water, soil fertility, pests and diseases, can we bring in biocontrol? What type of vegetable? And the climatic conditions, can we bring in protected cultivation and work on extending the growth season to flatten out all these price fluctuations? And then I think that very important also, in particular in open field systems, to think just not vegetables, think of cropping systems and multi-year focus, and work with agroecological principles, rotations, intercropping, recycling, composting, push-pull crops to manage insect pests. All that, if you like to build soil health, increase soil organic matter, increase soil microbial biomass, because through that you have a healthier soil, you will have a healthier plant, and eventually you will have healthier people, so that we prevent rather than cure. Last on the pool side is the work, of course, on processing and storage. That's also a big priority for the Indonesian government. I saw that. Yeah, there are so many ways, but simple ways like solar dryers there, or zero energy coolers, or just a shed where you allow a farmer cooperative to aggregate produce, clean it, sort it, label it, and also store it for a while in a place there at the back, top right corner, which is a small area powered by an air conditioner, cooled, tricked into cooling to 6 degrees Celsius. It's called a CoolBot system. So with that, a farmer cooperative doesn't immediately have to get rid of the produce. They can store it for a while, ideally powered, of course, with solar energy. That is not that expensive, and it is important to harmonize supply and demand. We do a lot about capacity strengthening. Just some examples from India, where we work on good agricultural practices, integrated pest management, post-harvest handling for different crops. Yeah, and I like the work very much. I hope to see that soon. But of course, it's still, again, with thousands of farmers. How can we get to scale? How can we capture that knowledge there into a digital format, maybe small, snappy videos that can be used by extension agencies in other regions where we are not working? Okay, I'm to the last P now, the policy one. I think generally we have to shift focus of food policy from calories, the rice, the wheat, the maize, to diet quality. And very important also, I understand that countries want to earn export earnings. I can understand that, it's completely justifiable. But I think it's also important to do some reverse thinking, where you first think, okay, how can we produce a healthy diet for the local population? And what does that mean for a vegetable strategy? And that is a discussion we had with Thailand, when was it, in May, as a lead up to the UN Food Systems Summit. Should Thailand have a national vegetable policy? Meaning not only export, but also looking at the local markets. I think also very important is to put emphasis on traditional vegetables to create that diversity, to create more niche markets, important. Collective action, like your Kampung Horticultura, and stimulate, of course, grow your own healthy food, like a school garden, home garden, maybe grow vegetables on your balcony in Jakarta, Yogyakarta. Okay, so I'm getting almost to the last part of this presentation. I just want to go back to this pull-push policy. That's how we captured, if you like, that food systems diagram of the high-level panel of experts. Again, you can look this up in this paper. One thing more, I mean, it's important to work on particular entry points, push entry points, pull entry points, policy entry points, but you also want to get things together. And we are more and more trying to do that in what we call vegetable systems pilots near cities. We have a project going on with the European and the Union and the Netherlands government in West Africa. We are also doing it in East Africa, and hope so much that we can move this type of vegetable systems pilots research to Southeast Asia. And yeah, again, the Kampung Horticultura is, I think, exactly this idea. You work on pull, push, and policy to get vegetables a much more prominent place on the farm and in the market. And with that, you create jobs, in particular for women and youth, I hope, so that they get interested in agriculture, and you develop a local, resilient, and safe vegetable sector near cities, and where you shorten the distance vegetables travel. Two more points before I conclude, Mr. Chair. I think two structural drivers that I would like to point out. We really have to move away from the Green Revolution legacy, where agricultural subsidies take such a tremendous share for staple grains. And if you just look at research, international research, the budget of the World Vegetable Center is very tiny. And we really hope that a greater share of international research in agriculture is going to be dedicated to nutritious food, fruits, vegetables, pulses, nuts, whole grains. And we would love to work on that and be a catalyzer. And I think we're trying to do that right now within the context of the 1CGIER. One other thing I would like to point out, whilst we are talking, something bad is happening. We are losing valuable diversity because of urbanization, because of homogenization of production systems and consumption patterns. Valuable traditional vegetables are disappearing whilst we are speaking. So we really need to work on a rescue effort there at national and international levels to promote in situ and ex situ conservation. So I would like to conclude then with these pull, push, and policy priorities for research and action around vegetables, but I think many can be generalized to protective foods. So we need to work on pull innovations to understand the drivers of vegetable intake for different consumer segments. We need to make sure, again, pull, understand how we can make vegetables more valued in general, maybe through school, home, community gardens, social marketing campaigns. And then bring pull, push together to reduce risk maybe through protected cultivation, avoid losses, enhance food safety, and work also on traceability, because that will lead to more consumer confidence. We need to work on push innovations to get that year-round availability of vegetables. So I guess that needs different types of vegetables, different species, maybe also protected cultivation. And very important, we need to work on access to quality seed for the global vegetables, probably with seed companies, but definitely also for the traditional vegetables through informal seed systems development. And then really would like to see more of these vegetable systems pilots, like a mirror to the Kampung Horticultura. A lot of work is needed in terms of capacity building. Digital extension is going to be key. We need to safeguard vegetable diversity, and we need to invest in research. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marco, for a very thorough and resourceful presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been listening to 3 excellent keynote speakers. And in summary, I think those papers are emphasizing the importance not only of vegetables, but also the importance of vegetables in our daily life. So with that, I would like to conclude our session by thanking our keynote speakers for the excellent presentation, and hoping that those papers will give us more ideas and also inspire us, and also extend our knowledge horizon for improving the vegetables subsector in Indonesia. I think please accept also my apology for all misspoken or inconveniences during this chairmanships. So lastly, let's give a big applause for all of the keynote speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Dr. Aditono Witono. Apologies. Thank you to Dr. Witono Adioga for the lead of the first session of today's seminar, Southeast Asia Vegetable 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a lunch break. I remind you, to all online participants, please do not exit the Zoom call because there will be an announcement on today's seminar. And to all present audience, you may now please leave the room. Thank you.
Polbangtan Manokwari, in carrying out the learning process, prioritize a teaching factory-based campus. Students of the Sustainable Agricultural Extension Study Program regularly carry out the process of planting rice to harvesting. In addition, the integration of practical research such as planting sweet potatoes as a form of food diversification. Students do land optimization such as planting medical plant and vegetables. The teaching factory of the Livestock Extension and Animal Welfare Study Program includes broiler chickens, which are managed intensively. There are also laying hens with a cage system using a battery cage system. The health of cattle is regularly monitored. In addition, there are also pigs and goats, which are all used for student learning. Teaching factory, the plantation plants production study program includes cacao nurseries and land clearing. The teaching factory of Polbangtan is supported by agricultural equipment and machinery units that support students' practice activities. In addition, there is also a camping ground for bonding activities. With the teaching factory, Polbangtan Manokwari graduates will become agricultural generations who are competent, innovative, and have an agro-sociopreneurship spirit.
Politeknik Engineering Pertanian Indonesia (PEPI) merupakan perguruan tinggi vokasi di bawah Kementerian Pertanian yang menyelenggarakan pendidikan vokasi di bidang engineering pertanian. PEPI menghasilkan tenaga teknisi yang terampil, berintegritas, dan memiliki jiwa entrepreneur serta berwawasan industri 4.0. Visi: menjadi Politeknik Engineering Pertanian Indonesia unggul, bertaraf internasional dalam mewujudkan sumber daya manusia pertanian yang profesional, mandiri, dan berdaya saing di bidang engineering dan teknologi pertanian. Misi: 1. Menyelenggarakan Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi. 2. Mengembangkan kelembagaan dan program studi bidang engineering dan teknologi pertanian bertaraf internasional dan sesuai kebutuhan sektor pertanian. 3. Meningkatkan mutu sumber daya pendidikan sesuai perkembangan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi engineering pertanian. 4. Menjalin kemitraan dan jejaring kerjasama pendidikan bertaraf internasional. 5. Mengoptimalkan sistem manajemen administrasi pendidikan bertaraf internasional. Dan 6. Menyelenggarakan nilai kejuangan sehingga terbentuk sikap pembiasaan untuk disiplin, beribadah, berakhlak mulia, bekerja keras, terus-menerus belajar, dan berkarya, dan bermanfaat, dan profesional. Politeknik Engineering Pertanian Indonesia memiliki 3 program studi. 1. Program Studi Teknologi Mekanisasi Pertanian, Program Diploma 3. 2. Program Studi Tata Air Pertanian, Program Diploma 3. Program Studi Teknologi Hasil Pertanian, Program Diploma 3.
Halo Sobat Pertanian,
selamat datang di SMKPP Negeri Banjarbaru. Perkenalkan, nama saya Muhammad Ihsan Padil. Apa saja fasilitas dan kelebihan di sekolah SMKPP Negeri Banjarbaru? Tonton videonya sampai habis ya. Let's check it out. SMKPP Negeri Banjarbaru merupakan sekolah yang berada di bawah Pusat Pendidikan Pertanian, lingkup Badan Pengembangan dan Penyuluhan Sumber Daya Manusia Pertanian. Sekolah yang didirikan pada 1 November 1955 ini berlokasi di Jalan Putri Junjung Buih, nomor 15, Banjarbaru, Kalimantan Selatan. Saat ini, SMKPP Negeri Banjarbaru memiliki 3 program studi, yaitu Agribisnis Tanaman Pangan dan Hortikultura, Agribisnis Tanaman Perkebunan, dan yang terakhir Agribisnis Pengolahan Hasil Pertanian. Untuk mendukung proses pembelajaran, sekolah ini sudah dilengkapi sarana dan prasarana yang cukup memadai. Selain itu, sekolah ini memiliki lahan praktek dengan totalan seluas 65 hektar yang terbagi di 4 lokasi. Selain melaksanakan proses belajar mengajar, sekolah ini juga mendukung program-program utama dari Kementerian Pertanian seperti Penumbuhan Wirausahawan Muda Pertanian atau PWMP, Komando Strategis Pertanian atau Kostratani, Food Estate, Petani Milenial, Yes Program, dan kegiatan lainnya. Nah, itu tadi sekilas profil dari SMKPP Negeri Banjarbaru. Terima kasih telah menyaksikan dan sampai jumpa di vlog SMKPP lainnya.
Kupang State Development Agricultural Vocational High School is a boarding school under Agricultural Extension and Human Resource Development Agency, Ministry of Agriculture. SUPER stands for Success, Excellence, Professional, Energetic, Friendly is the motto of our school. Located on Timur Raya Road, 49, with a strategic school location on the side of the highway. It has 213 students attending this boarding school. There are 3 study programs at this school. The Food, Crop and Horticulture Agribusiness Study Program has 1 teacher with a master background and 6 teachers with undergraduate one. The Ruminant Livestock Agribusiness Study Program has 8 teachers with master backgrounds and 5 teachers with undergraduate backgrounds. The Veterinary Nursing Study Program has 5 lecturers with master backgrounds and 3 teachers with undergraduate one. The advantages of food, crop, and horticulture agribusiness include students will be able to cultivate plants from upstream to downstream, utilize dry land to become jobs, and operate modern agricultural machinery. The advantages of ruminant livestock agribusiness is that students are able to cultivate ruminants, produce forage for animal feed, and process and preserve animal feed. The advantages of veterinary nursing are that students could perform animal care, clinical examination of animals, and perform artificial insemination. Infrastructure facilities that support learning activities include seed labs, post-harvest labs, hydroponic gardens, and agricultural machinery. Supporting infrastructure for ruminant livestock agribusiness activities, including installation of cattle and goats, forage land, slaughterhouse, and post-harvest lab. Infrastructure facilities that support veterinary nursing activities include animal health laboratories, abattoirs, and veterinary clinics. In supporting the Ministry of Agriculture's program related to farmer regeneration, the school has taken a role. Among them, there are ambassadors of millennial farmers, young agricultural entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs in the livestock sector, and inseminator or animal orders.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua, salam sehat untuk kita semua. Kalau mau menjadi hebat, bertani itu adalah hebat. Tetapi menjadi petani itu keren. Kenapa? Pertanian itu menjanjikan. Pertanian itu selain untuk makan, pertanian pasti menjadi lapangan kerja. Kalau begitu pertanian adalah masa depan bagi hadirnya ekonomi yang baik dalam keluarga, ekonomi yang baik dalam masyarakat, ekonomi yang baik bagi sebuah daerah dari Sabang sampai Merauke. Mau menjadi keren, jadilah petani milenia dan duta milenia yang diandalkan oleh keluarga, diandalkan oleh bangsamu. Bahkan bangsamu menunggu kamu untuk berbuat lebih baik.
Ayo, bergabunglah dengan kami. Kami siap mencetak job creator dan job seeker yang profesional, mandiri, dan berdaya saing.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sobat Yes, my name is Muhammad Alfidurdo Kunchoro. Let me be your host on Bincang Podcast today. Before we start the podcast, make sure that you are subscribed to the Youth Employment and Entrepreneurship Support Service, Yes YouTube channel, and all social media, Yes. How are you today? Sobat Yes, I hope you have a good day. On this beautiful day, we have a special guest for our podcast, Youth Employment and Entrepreneurship Support Service. She is Miss Dr. Ida Widi Arsanti, SPMP, as the Director of the Indonesian Center for Agricultural Education. Also, with the particular topic, the existence of Indonesian Centers for Agricultural Education at Indonesian's Development Polytechnic towards Global School of Smart Farming. Good morning, Miss Santi. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, Mas Alvino. I'm fine.
Okay, I hope you have a great day today.
Yes, sure.
Yes, wonderful chance for me to keep in touch with you, discuss about the existence of Indonesian Center for Agricultural Education and Indonesian Development Polytechnic towards Global School of Smart Farming, precisely with the particular topic in the agriculture sector in present day. Before we go to the main question of the podcast, let me know more about the Indonesian Centers for Agricultural Education. How many UPT or Technical Implementation Units are managed by Indonesian Center for Agricultural Education, and what are they, Ms. Santi?
Okay, thank you, Mas Alvino. Thank you again, also for Sobat Yes, for having me in this session. As we know that the Indonesian Center for is under the Ministry of Agriculture and also under the Agency of Human Resource Development. And then we have several Polbangtan or Polytechnic Agriculture Development.
Vocational
Polytechnic school.
Yes, exactly.
And also several three high school on vocational study in all around Indonesia.
Wow, it's a great UPT.
Yeah,
yes,
great.
Because separate in all of Indonesia.
Yes,
yes.
That's right.
If we can mention, what are they, Ms. Santi?
Yeah, we have 7 polytechnic. There are in Medan.
Yes.
And then in Bogor. We have also in Serpong, Yogyakarta, and also in Magelang, in Malang. And then in Eastern Indonesia, we have also in Goa, in Papua, Papua, West Papua. Yeah.
Yes.
And also we have also the high school in Sembawa, in south of Sumatra. And then we have also in Kupang, in NTT, and also once more in South Kalimantan.
Wow, it's a great vocational high school.
Yeah.
Because we know that Indonesia is having the limit on the young generation in agriculture.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, I think with the vocational school will help the governor by the Ministry of Agriculture to increase the
young generation.
Yes, young generation.
Working in agriculture.
Okay, it's a good answer, Ms. Santi. We are going to the first questions. What is your opinion, Ms. Santi, about the current developments of agriculture sector in Indonesia?
Okay, I think agriculture is a very pivotal role in Indonesia because you know, Mas Alfi know that Indonesia is agriculture country. And then we know that even during the pandemic COVID-19, agriculture is still the pivotal sector because you also mentioned that our agriculture sector increased significantly in terms of production, in terms of productivity, in terms of export, and also the farmers' welfare during the period of 2019 to 2021. And we know that our agriculture sector increased significantly.
Okay, if we are talking about the other sector is decreased, but in agriculture in the pandemic it should increase.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, it's a great sector, I think. Opportunity for ours. Okay, I agree with you, Ms. Santi. We know that agriculture should differ toward the increasing the total population because all people is need food right,
Yeah,
Ms. Santi?
yeah.
Yes, but we don't have young generation to make the potentials of the agriculture is more developed.
Yeah.
Okay. According to the Indonesian Center for Agriculture's Education, what are the challenge of the agriculture's model in the future to minimize or deal with the challenge?
Yeah, actually, we have several challenges in agriculture sector. The first is about the farmers' regeneration, because we know that nowadays the farmers in Indonesia is relatively old. They are more than 50, yeah, usually, and then not in a long time anymore. They cannot